Given the resignation of the chief executive and a stand-in, Mike Russell, taking over, it's hardly surprising that the Scottish national election, the Scottish First Minister election, is in a bit of a mess. Nicola Sturgeon, it's hard to remember that Nicola Sturgeon is still technically the First Minister. She's been quiet for a while, but she still is at the helm and has been so since 2014. Yesterday she was in London and speaking away from the fray, of course, at the Royal Society for the Arts, and she said that the contest to replace her has been difficult but healthy. Her husband has resigned. This has got very close to her, and her record has been compromised by the mess that has been left behind. And the three candidates seem to be tearing themselves to pieces. Kate Forbes, Ash Regan, and Humza Yousaf. Very carefully, Humza is saying as little as possible, but Ash Regan has now gone on record saying that voters should have the option to revise their vote, which of course they've done electronically. They should have that option to edit their vote, buyer's remorse. Why? Well, because almost certainly the candidate who picked up the majority of votes up till now has been the candidate who looked most like Nicola Sturgeon. That would be Humza Yousaf. But now that Sturgeon herself is compromised because her husband didn't tell the truth or didn't reveal the truth. The point is, the Scottish National Party began the election with the assumption that there were 104,000 members of the party. And now to discover that 25% of those or more didn't exist, and that Peter Muller, is that his name? Peter Muller? Was forced to take Peter Murrell was forced to admit that the party had lost 30% of its core vote of its membership. That is astonishing. The party is conducting its election campaign on a lie, really. That holds the ship in the underwater. It is potentially a sinking ship at this moment. And what can one do to stabilize it? Nicola Sturgeon is doing her best, I suppose. So Ash Regan says there should be an opportunity since the revelations for members to revise their vote. Nicola Sturgeon herself urges caution lest the election tears the party apart. Do not throw the baby out with the bathwater, is what she says. And then there's an interesting discussion about Michael Russell. Now, Michael Russell had said that there was a mess. Nicola Sturgeon tries to clarify by saying he didn't say that the party was a mess. He said that the narrative had been messy. And Michael Russell is one of the chief executives of the SNP. He's now taken over the role played by Peter Murrell. He's now the absolute boss. So Nicola Sturgeon is trying to reinterpret what he has just said. Kate Forbes, in the meanwhile, has said that selecting one of the continuity candidates, i.e. Humza Yousaf, would be an acceptance of the mediocrity that's already hit the party. Well, I wouldn't have described Nicola Sturgeon as mediocrity. That's attacking the very person who has led the party for the last 10 years or so. This is very fractious, and it's set out trying to be a sort of nice discussion and has become very quickly as bitter and as unpleasant as anything seen in Westminster. Humza, as I say, has kept quiet. I hope he continues to keep a dignified silence. Humza wants to be more inclusive. He wants a cleaned-up executive. But all of them are suffering the effects of the SNP itself to hide its membership size, which at the start of the campaign it was claiming was still close to 104,000, and that wasn't true. All of the candidates are suffering from the fact that the Scottish National Party was lying.